A few years ago, David Taylor says he felt stuck. Stuck in a cycle of bad behavior.
Do I actually want to be here?
Stuck at the Kalamazoo County Juvenile Home.
I know it might look like it's not coming out, but it will.
And then he found a vehicle.
Take those screws, the new screws.
That put him on the right path.
The bike's awesome. I still have it. It's a BMX bike. I can't fit it anymore. But it just reminds me, like, this is where I started. This was the beginning of something new, something different, a change.
David built that bicycle himself. He learned how through an organization called Open Roads and their Earn a Bike program.
And we're not about just coming in and telling them what we think they need to know. We want to make sure that whatever we're coaching them on, like, they feel like it's relevant for their lives, you know?
For 6 weeks, lessons disguised as tune-ups teach kids life and social skills.
You got it?
They're given the tools to become mechanics, able to turn metal parts and plastic pieces into a 10-speed, while at the same time greasing the wheels for future success.
I think if you sit down a group of, you know, teenage kids and say, hey, I'm gonna teach you some social skills, it's not that exciting, right? You have to have something more incentivizing, and bikes are an awesome vehicle for that because it symbolizes like independence and self-sufficiency.
And I feel like Open Roads guided me to like see like, hey, you are not this person, you are not a statistic, you are not a label, you are whoever you want to be. You define yourself. Ninja.
A teen who once defined himself as shy and angry.
Nope, you have to do the arms.
David is now a lead instructor for the program.
How are you doing today?
He says he wanted to give back by helping the kids that remind him of who he once was, and by serving as an example of what he knows they can become.
I expect the kids that I work with to be better than me. I want them to strive to aim higher than I did because I know that they are worth it. Awesome.
Hey,
awesome.
Nice job.
Awesome.
This pump rests quietly along M43 at full stop. Crooked Lake's water no longer flowing into Glasby Lake. That's because the county has already filled Glasby to its limit. And with no other parcels of land on which to dump Upper Crooked's water, homeowners are scrambling to prepare for what could be a long, destructive winter.
10 feet of my shoreline's still gone. The water's still at the level that when it freezes, it'll crack up my cement and cause other problems.
Drain Commissioner Jim Dull says there was a plan to pump water on nearby property, but those landowners backed out Wednesday. He was hoping to have the lake down 2 feet by now. Instead, it's down hardly at all.
We're just fighting an uphill battle against Mother Nature right now.
I have little or no confidence because we don't have any information that leads us that something's going to happen. You've got to take your valuables to high ground. It's what it comes down to.
Mark Nelson says he was emotional when he first saw the pumps were cut off. His fear of losing his property greater than it's ever been.
I bought a place that I could live on here at the end of the road.
His place is already drifting beyond the end of the road as water continues to chip away, the county making a late, desperate plea for help.
If somebody's thinking about selling a 40-acre property, we'd be tickled to death to talk to them right now.
Firefighters were called to the Village Inn apartment complex on Riverside Drive just before 10:30 Sunday night. Before it was all over, 2/3 of the roof had caved in. Apartments were destroyed, leaving behind a charred path of destruction. Some 80 people were displaced.
There is consistent damage in that area, period. It does vary with regards to certain areas of the structure that you can see from the exterior.
Fire Marshal Quincy Jones with the Battle Creek Fire Department says it appears the fire started here, but where exactly and what may have caused it remain under investigation. Jones tells us he has not yet had a chance to get inside. However, some firefighters have been in to retrieve certain items.
No one has been taken through the building. The crews have assisted in basically getting people personable things that are we're considering priority things, medications, IDs, things of that sort.
Jones was on scene overnight, interviewing many of these tenants who had no choice but to stand by and watch their building go up in flames.
And I was like, what is that smell? And we walked out ran to the balcony and I saw the flames and I was like, we need to get out. Our apartment complex is on fire.
Our son started pounding on the door, get out, the whole place is on fire.
First responders say several residents received medical attention on scene and 2 people were taken to Bronson Hospital in Kalamazoo with severe burns.
I'm just glad everybody's safe, everybody got out, and pray for everybody.
This hasn't always been the scene at Bulldogs games.
For a Bulldog touchdown.
The team's scoring plenty this season. Centerville going into tonight undefeated.
Juice.
Before the game,
Come on, baby. Play hard.
assistant coach Aaron Hartong making sure his players were ready, much like his old coach did.
Just a heart of gold, even though he was so hard on the outside to most people who were looking from the outside in. But for every player, they never doubted that Quake loved him.
Steve Quake died Wednesday after a 7-year battle with neck cancer. A pregame moment of silence for the longtime Centerville JV and varsity football coach who fought cancer hard to the bitter end. A toughness Aaron says Quake handed down to all of his players.
He taught me not to let my size bother me, that it's what's in the heart and what's in the mental toughness that matters, and so without him I wouldn't have had a lot of the opportunities I had in life.
Hartong says Quake was instrumental in keeping football alive in Centerville, starting a youth football program decades ago so young kids could learn to love the sport. He helped coach Centerville to its first ever playoffs in 2001.
Right here.
Hartong was on that team. And says Quake's tough love style kept you in line and gave you confidence. And along with his passion, that tough love is how he coaches today.
Yeah, you screwed up, you did it wrong, but I still love you, I'm still here, nothing's changed about that, right? I mean, you could do it wrong 1,000 times and I'm going to crack on you 1,000 times, but I still love you to death and I'm still going to be here to support you, and that's pure Quake right there.
This is where I come on a Friday to bring magazines just to the waiting rooms.
Bob Johnson and his magazine cart.
Right on down, around we go.
Is a story that's hard to put down. He's been filling the pages for the last 20 years at Bronson Methodist Hospital.
Inspiration to the nurses, the staff, the other patients.
We have people, if you like people.
It begins with Bob rolling in with a gentle knock.
Care for a free magazine to look at?
Then he finds the perfect match for each patient.
Western horses, automobiles.
Outdoor life.
Outdoor life.
But the real draw to the magazine man's story is the relationships he's been able to build, even in a hospital bed, even in the midst of pain and suffering.
You got to be pushing 90, aren't you?
A little bit after that, 96.
Well,
96 and a half.
I got a ways to catch up to you.
Little communication from somebody just off the street.
The staff at Bronson couldn't imagine the hospital without him and know the value he brings is about much more than the games and books on his cart.
Seeing someone at his age out and about, healthy, volunteering, being active in the community, and just really helping make a difference in other people's lives.
Bob's story has slowed down over the last few years, but it keeps on going, and he'll keep on going until his legs or the magazines run out.
It's just a wonderful thing to be able to do. Not only just doing it, but just being around.
Right, there you go, baby.
These are the last few days Tony Carpenter will come to class at Hillside Learning and Behavior Center in Allegan. His mom, Denise Peckle, says he's been on this journey to be his best self since he was 2.
Strap your feet so you don't lose toes. He tries so hard at everything that I just know he'll succeed at everything he does. Try.
The center has been helping Tony learn how to live with cerebral palsy, seizure disorder, and dysphagia. He's undergone 11 surgeries on his hands, knees, mouth, and back.
He had scoliosis so bad that his spine was growing into his lungs, so it was a life or death decision.
In between surgery recovery, Tony has been learning at the center with his teacher of 14 years. Most of his growth is focused around using his head and neck to power this wheelchair on his own.
Where's your Patty?
Just to see him really did mature and grow into the young man he is, and every challenge we threw at him, he accepted and was able to overcome it and do it, and all his peers have watched that over these years.
There you go, baby.
As independent as this chair allows Tony to be, it's not his primary source of mobility. This manual chair, held together with duct tape and zip ties, is.
It bothers him. He gets very worried about that when things like that break down.
Peckle says a manual chair fits their home easier and is much lighter to move around. She says fundraisers at his school and online for a new one have touched their family.
People we don't know, people that we've known for years, are just giving and sharing and praying, and it's just overwhelming in a really good way.
With the community's help, she's confident her son can graduate with more than just a new mode of mobility.
And a smile that doesn't quit. He always makes me proud. Oh, is that hard work? Yeah. It is hard work. I know. You do a good job, don't you?
Piece by piece, Lucas Hernandez is getting hooked up to the Indigo exoskeleton.
Okay, go ahead.
It's helping the 20-year-old learn how to walk again, one step at a time.
Let's wait for a second. And take one more step.
The exoskeleton is a robotic device supporting his ankles, knees, thighs, and hips. Physical therapist Jake Miller says it's designed for patients like Hernandez recovering from a spinal injury or stroke.
Work on his strength, work on his coordination and balance, and really build those factors to work on overall independence and mobility outside device with.
Hernandez was paralyzed after breaking his neck while on the job. He says he was at a construction site when a load of steel pipes fell, knocking him off his feet before he crashed to the ground.
They asked if I could feel my legs. I said no.
Body weight supported over ground.
He feels his legs and a lot of his body now after 6 months of physical therapy at Mary Free Bed Rehabilitation Hospital. The exoskeleton is battery-powered and operated by settings on an iPod specific to Hernandez's needs.
Provide more support at the knee as needed to help them really achieve that independence and strength with walking, and help somebody get stronger and more coordinated with their walking pattern as well.
Though Hernandez uses a wheelchair most of the time, he's taking it step by step towards better mobility with the extra help.
I didn't have the amount of function I do now in the right leg. I'm learning how to kick my leg back and forth again. Before I could not, and even pick up my leg.
Birds chirping is always the first sign of warmer weather. But you know it's officially spring when you see that barbecue smoke and hear the sizzle.
This is spring in the air. It's so warm over here and the smoke is going and the neighborhood is vibrant because the weather.
Cooks at Riverview Grill smoke their barbecue outdoors year-round, but say this weather is a refreshing start to a new season.
It has just been a long, cold winter. My little company has faced everything from a burn down to ice storms. We even got flooded out once. It has been a long winter for West Michigan.
A long winter, drivers couldn't wait to scrub off as they line up at a car wash.
It's been an up and down. It's been cold, it's hot. The weather's getting to me, making me sick, so I'm just glad the snow is gone for now.
I despise winter, and I despise winter roads, especially in Michigan. So I am so happy that it's warmer. I'm so ready for spring.
Root beer is how these folks are toasting in the warm temperatures. This guy brought out his skateboard to try a few tricks. The season is getting people out, doing things they couldn't for the last several months.
I can't wait to go to the beach. I cannot wait to go to South Haven Beach and thank the Lord for the weather.
I see it.
I see it's moving.
It's all the way up in that tree right behind him. See that little like black area?
Yeah.
Kind of by the chimney up there?
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Mom, are they gonna bring it over?
There's a buzz growing on Dayton Street, and it's not from any bees.
Oh, it's moving.
Neighbor Mary Jean Hansen says it's incredible.
51 years. Never had a bear before in the neighborhood.
That black bear climbed his way into a tree after police caught him roaming around Grand Rapids. After hours of waiting, the bear didn't budge.
I can't believe it's happening here. Where would it have come from? He looks big from that picture.
Officials are guessing the bear's weight at 125 pounds.
He was just kind of hanging out up there. He wasn't really like coming down. Like he was really scared, obviously.
Yeah, he was scared of all the people. They waited for him to like climb down, but that wasn't happening. So then they tranquilized him, and he fell asleep in the tree.
The DNR tried to use a rope to bring the bear down, but he fell into a net and was then put in a trap. Neighbors say there was nothing to fear.
I'm safe in my house.
As soon as we get in there.
Yeah.